Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. For us, it's been 5 minutes. For you guys, it may have been a week since the last episode dropped. I'm Nathan Schwartz. Joining me in Sacramento, Aaron Schroeder.
So good to see you, Nate. It's been so long.
So long. We're back. We're going to try to rank 326 through 350 in NBA history. We do this positionally first and get the five kind of positions ranked out, and then we just use that as kind of our board to figure out and rank these other guys. As always, email submissions. If there's something you don't like, let us know. hoopstemple@gmail.com. Aaron, would you care to read our list of nominees?
Yeah, absolutely. From the point guard spot, we have Sleepy Floyd, shooting guard Jeff Mullins, small forward current day player Brandon Ingram, power forward is Danny Manning. Nate loves Brandon Ingram, but our center is Brett Robbins.
Listen, are you really going to tell me that Brandon Ingram is that much worse than Julius Randle?
Your dog seems to think so. Your dog doesn't. Yeah, your dog got set off by that. Shouldn't have said that.
No, that's fair. Cora is anti Brandon Ingram apparently.
I just think Ingram hasn't been healthy since his rookie season. I do think we're in the right spot for him, but it's always been a little disappointing. I mean, the guy's a 20-point per game scorer, basically. He's in the past with New Orleans, he's 23, 5-5 on good efficiency. So maybe I'm just being a little whiny about it. Is he your next pick? Do you want him?
I think he is the guy that has shown the most star level play at this point left on the list. There are some true knocks. There is the lack of longevity. There is the fact that as a young player, he was, I'm not even going to say a bad situation, but just kind of a normal situation for a young player of not much talent around him, kind of caught up in the Kobe circus that was not good teams. I'm not too worried about underrating him because we will move him up if he continues to perform and play over the next few years. But I think he's the best player left on the board at this point.
All right, lock him in. First pick of the podcast is Brandon Ingram, bringing up Sean Elliott, which I actually think is a really good next pick. We get 11 seasons with San Antonio. He's part of the Rodman trade. You have some kind of more star-ish seasons in 93 and 96 where he's 20 a night, he's 17 a night. We're looking kind of mid to upper teens in scoring, and then wins a championship. He's actually the only professional athlete ever to have a kidney transplant and then come back.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, that's what I read. Go find
Alonzo Mourning.
Alonzo Mourning, I don't think Alonzo Mourning had a kidney transplant.
Alonzo Mourning 100%
maybe
received a kidney from his cousin.
Maybe at the time, he was the first one.
Well, yeah, that I'll believe, but I am 100% sure. In 2003, Alonzo Mourning received a kidney transplant from his cousin. Boom. You want to know how I know this?
The first one.
You want to know how I know this? My Aunt Dory had just passed away at this time. And my family was like, it's Christmas. We need to head away. We're going down to Mexico. We're going to Cancun for a family vacation. And I was like, I can't see basketball down there. So I'm reading the USA Today every morning, checking those box scores, reading anything that has basketball on there. And I read this in the newspaper.
Wow. I do stand corrected. He was the first professional athlete to return to a major sport after a kidney transplant in 2000. So you get that. Has the Memorial Day Miracle in 1999 against the Blazers with 12 seconds left. The Spurs are down by 2. Catches an inbound pass in the corner, shoots it over Rasheed Wallace. That game he had 22 points on 8 of 10 shooting. That was game 2 of a sweep. So take it a yes.
I heard that was a game 2 of a sweep and then you cut out, but I do think that's a yes for me.
Sounds good.
A similar case, although not quite as high of accolades, or not accolades because these guys don't have awards in the traditional sense, but as high of praise, as high of accolades in the common man's terms. Danny Manning, also a really good long career. Uh, I want to say multi-time. He actually doesn't make any defensive teams. I felt like he made more defensive teams. He is a defensive player, two-time All-Star, once with the Clippers, once with the Hawks. You have extra credit for your Kings players because when they make the playoffs, you gave it to a Nets player for making the playoffs with the Nets. I think the fact that he leads the Clippers to 2 playoffs, that's worth
Thank
its
you.
weight in NBA
I
gold.
remember when we did the power forwards list and you didn't like Manning because you said that Tobias Harris also took the Clippers to the playoffs. Look at you. Here you are groveling at the Danny Manning shrine that I've built. Hell yeah, lock him in. I think it's so interesting with Manning. I mean, he was gonna be a star. He was elite at every level. He was the first overall pick, and he tears his ACL in his first season. And at the time, like that was going to affect you for the rest of your career. So he definitely lost his step, but he's still 14 points, 5 boards, 2 assists for his career. Kind of capped out as a 23 a night, 7 board kind of guy. Good stuff. Let's lock him in.
All right. That brings on to the list Happy Hairston as our power forward and Calvin Nat as our small forward.
So Calvin Nat, I like Nat. This is from my quote is from Professional Sports Team Histories by Michael L. LeBlanc. From the Nugget section, he said, quote, Nat proved to be the most relentless inside player the franchise had ever had and called him, quote, the team's toughest player and inspirational leader.
I like it. I can do Nat. I do want to ask though, after Nat, I do feel like there's a little bit of drop off in small forwards. There's with Gordon Hayward, who actually looking back on it, Gordo just retired this year. Did have a better career. There is more of the Utah Utah than I remembered because in my memory, I remember that being a briefer period. But I think we've got a little bit of a drop off. I think we have some really good point guards. But
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if we should flip them. How would you feel about flipping Archie Clark and Sleepy Floyd?
Well, you'd have to make the Clark case.
So Archie Clark, aka Shake and Bake, joins the Bullets the year after they make the finals. They do have an abysmal year where they go from being basically a slightly above 500 to slightly below 500, but they lose 2 key starters at the start of the year, which is why they have to trade for him. And Archie puts up insane regular season numbers. Because of course I don't have him pulled up right now. But then in the playoffs, they go 7 games. He doesn't lose in the first round, but he's averaging 27 points, 8 assists, and in game 7, he is 31 points, 11 assists, 59% from the field. Also, it's a 2-time All-Star with, 2 other years of comparable stats. So we're looking at like 4 years of near All-Star level play.
Yeah. It's a huge 72 season with Baltimore. He's 25 points, 3 boards, and 8 assists. He's 12th in MVP voting and second team All NBA. Yeah, I think it's I don't mind that flip. I think with Floyd, you get some gaudier assist numbers, like he's 10 assists per game with the Warriors in the late 80s. You also have that crazy playoff game against the Lakers. Against the 87 Lakers, one of the greatest teams ever. 51 points, 51 and 10. And now I don't think a game is something that's gonna move us a lot. Just one game. That's a big one game. That's a big one game for sure.
Yeah. And so like I wouldn't hate if you push back on the flip. But
let's just keep it how it is. Let's just keep it how it is, given the era difference and the merger stuff. I am kind of interested in Gordon Hayward, though. I think Hayward is such a what if with those injuries because he was a legitimate star. I think people like kind of forget about that. In 2017, he was an all-star. He was 22 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. These Jazz teams were making the playoffs. In the 2017 playoffs, he plays 11 games. He's 24, 6, and 3. It looks like you not only had like a young-ish star, but a playoff riser, like a really good playoff performer. And then he leaves and breaks his leg, and it never was the same. Just a devastating injury. He basically spends the next like entirety of his career. I mean, he has been rehabbing from that injury since then. Is what the way I interpret his career.
If you scroll all the way back in the Hoops Temple podcast feed, you will find myself and my original co-host Richard Blue, now proprietor of a restaurant. So go check out Memphis Soul if you're in New York City. But we do our Eastern Conference preview. It's the very first pod we ever record that season, and we recorded 2 hours before the game. We basically finish recording that pod, go flip on the game, and Gordon snaps his leg. And we're like, man, maybe we put this bad energy in the air.
I remember I called my dad. I called him because I was like, Gordon Hayward broke his leg, and he was like, "Don't ever fucking call me about shit." Like he's like, if the president, he said, if the president gets shot, you can call me. He's like, don't call me about Gordon. And I was just so shocked. I was like, I have to tell, like, no one is home. I had to tell somebody.
It's moments like these as a sports fan that you remember where you were. Like, did you watch the Paul George injury happen live?
No.
I had a buddy over. We were going to drive to upstate New York. So we're cutting through Canada from Michigan. It's like a 10-hour drive. We're seeing some friends. And we're like, well, if we wait till, around, I forget when we were going to try to leave. If we're like, we'll just drive straight through the night. It'll be super quiet. We turn on that game, and he's from Indiana. Lives and dies Pacers. And Paul George snaps his leg, and he's like, let's just go. Let's just drive. Let's just into the night. I don't want to be here anymore.
My goodness. Yeah, Paul George's career recovery is kind of underrated. Like he could have just been Gordon Hayward, but he has returned to form at his best. Honestly, his best seasons after that. I think.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm breaking this down right here. There are 3 players that played at the same time: Red Robbins, Jeff Bullens, and Happy Harrison. I think Harrison was the best of the 3.
Absolutely.
So we have that. Now, do you like Gordon or Floyd more, or do you want to do Harrison?
I mean, I like Clark the most, so I'm tempted to say Floyd, then Clark, then Harrison.
All right, deal.
Floyd, Clark, Harrison. Locking it in. All right. I do think the only problem with Sleepy Floyd, because we kind of talked about how amazing that one game is. Sleepy Floyd really falls off. He gets traded for Ralph Sampson, and like the idea is we're gonna balance Hakeem with Floyd, and it just does not work out. Those two do not mesh. Floyd's career falls apart rather quickly, and it's just done. It's what do you think?
Yeah, I could see that.
Do you want to talk some Happy?
Yeah, I think with Harrison, we're getting essentially just a double machine. He's 15 points and he's 10 boards per game for his entire career. I don't have the quote in front of me, but I think I said it when we ranked him. He had said essentially like, for these expansion teams, I could be a star. Like I could do this, but I'm in LA and I'm putting up regular numbers. I could be. I think you look at him and he could have, if he was like, if the Bulls snagged him or something, or Seattle, you're looking at like some pretty gaudy numbers, like 25 and 15, and he's an all-star on a 22-win team. And I'm trying just to translate that to what we do have. He plays big minutes on the 72 finals to championship team in LA, one of the greatest teams ever, averaging 13 and 13 and 38 minutes of play.
Yeah, a positive true shooting guy for the era, which is not all that common with power forwards. because they're neither stretching the floor and they're just not as big as the centers. Has a 6-year stretch averaging 17 points, 11 rebounds, wins the ring with the 72 Lakers, averaging 38.5 minutes per game. The quote is, I think I've played about as well as any forward in the division, except for maybe Jerry Lucas or Bob Love. It's a funny thing. If I had been with one of those expansion teams, I would have made it, talking about an all-star selection that he wasn't selected for. It would have been easy for me to score 28 to 30 points a game, and I would have had quite a few more rebounds too. On this team, the opportunities just aren't there to score, aren't there for either scoring or rebounding, but really I'd rather be with the Lakers. That's the way to my heart right there.
Absolutely. All right, locking them in. So we are now at 332, looking for our next guy. We have Nick Van Exel now for a point guard spot, and Truck Robinson for the power forward spot. With Truck, you get a 6-year period post-merger, 77-82 of 20 points and 11 boards. During his one full season in New Orleans, he led the NBA while getting the Jazz to a whopping 39 wins, which was the highest win total mark the Jazz had done in their first 9 seasons. The New Orleans Jazz are hilariously bad. And I think you get that 1 year, and they're kind of good. I like Robinson. I think the stats are a little inflated, kind of a black hole. Like reported that he's basically kind of a selfish, like offensive player essentially, and like the winning issue is present. Now I think it's your turn to talk about Nick Van Exel though. This is your Lakers' time to shine.
Fuck Nick Van Exel.
Whoa, where's this coming from?
Nick Van Exel is one of the most hated Lakers of all time.
That's true.
Nick Van Exel is 1-2-3 Cancun. Nick does have a better post Lakers this time, but you had to fight me kicking and screaming to drag him up this list. His Dallas year, I think, is what did it. That 03 year where they go to the Western Conference Finals, and he's 19 points and 4 assists per game in the playoffs. He's fine.
Do you want to do Gordon Hayward first?
Yeah, I'd rather do Gordo than Nick Van Exel.
Gordo. Does anyone call him Gordo? What is this like? Where's this coming from?
I make shit up as I go along. I think Gordo is a great name, and if he had been known as Gordo, he would be much more likable. With Gordo off the board, that brings on Tayshaun Prince.
The classic 3-and-D, high minutes on championship caliber teams and literally winning titles in 04. 1,000 games of everything you want from your starting wing. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. I mean, this is the only player on the board with no all-star appearances. Worth noting, I don't really think he's particularly close to any either. You want to get Jeff Bullens out of here? You get a 3-year stretch, 3 all-star teams, basically 25-5. Plays 33 minutes a night on a finals team in 67.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't hate doing a little bit of a run on shooting guards, because right after that we have Phil Smith, Jerry Stackhouse, Michael Redd, and then Dick Barnett. And I think those guys could. The great group of names. You want to talk about any one of them?
Next shooting guard is Phil Smith. Yes. With Smith. Go ahead.
With Smith, we kind of went back and forth on who should be better, Smith or Mullins. Because like Smith got good post 75 and Mullins like drops off at 75. So neither of them is actually that big a part of the 75 title. And that kind of makes it a little bit funky. But in 76, Smith kind of takes off and he's 20 points per game, 4.5 boards, 4.5 assists. He's arguably the number 2 guy behind Rick Barry and ahead of Jamal Wilkes on a near 60-win team. And then in the playoffs in the first round, it's 30 points per game. Second round does tail off. And in game 7, no, sorry, that's the 77 playoffs. In 77 playoffs, also not as good, and then really sharply declines in game 7 of the 77 playoffs. But we've got a 5-year window where he's 19 points per game, 4 assists, and then the thing that really knocks him out is injuries. So we've got a pretty solid stretch, not great longevity, but I would say a good level of impact for a 5-year period.
Yeah, I mean, he has a second-team All-NBA, second-team All-Defense, 7th in MVP voting in 76. Then he maintains his All-Star status after the merger. Has 2 51-point games separately in I think the 76 and 77. That's pretty cool. Yeah, let's get him in here.
After that, we have Jerry Stackhouse, who leads the league in scoring, 29.8 points per game on just a god-awful Pistons team with no offense that's around him. He is basically asked to do everything. He's got 8 40-point games that season, one of which is a 57-point night. It's truly the one elite season for him. But from 96 to 03, 21 points per game, 4 boards, 4 assists per game. What do you think?
I actually like Stackhouse. I think like he, to be clear, he doesn't win the scoring title, but he scores the most points. This Pistons team is missing, I think, Grant Hill. Is he hurt or does he leave?
I think Grant Hill has just left, and then Corliss Williams. They don't trade for Corliss until the deadline, but they have no offensive firepower anywhere on this team.
That's my argument, really, is that like this team, it's like Ben Wallace is like he's gonna like he's out there such a negative offensively. There is one guy on the team that can even score, and everyone on earth knows that. And so the fact that they even won 32 games, the fact that he averaged nearly 30 a night, like I think is impressive. If you throw in worse players, they do much worse. Because I think that's not like good stats, bad team. That's bad situation, good stats, and that's still difficult to do.
Yeah, it makes me forgive a lot of the shooting inefficiencies, where it's like, okay, yeah, he hit 40% from the field. You try shooting with these other guys out there. Like, Chucky Adkins is arguably the second most dynamic offensive player on this team.
I think that's a great pick, and it goes right into Michael Redd too. If you want to slot him in at 336, another high volume scorer during a similar era. He did make the top 300. Then we kind of pushed back, saying like it really wasn't as impactful. And then I actually did doing another deep dive. I actually kind of liked him again, and so maybe we could think about moving up again. But here's my fun Michael Redd take. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but in the first round in 2004, the Bucks played the Pistons, and Redd was pretty good. He was like 29 and decent efficiency. Michael Redd handled the 04 Pistons defense better than Kobe. Totally did.
Did he though?
He did. He was like in 2004, an efficient 20 a night was like averaging 45 a game. You have the greatest playoff defense ever, and like the guy who handled it the best was Michael fucking Redd.
Okay,
Kobe had one of the worst. Go ahead.
How deep of a series did that go?
I don't remember. Let me find it. You tell me they weren't trying? Bullshit.
Yes, I'm telling. I'm saying that maybe. Calling them like I see them. I'm just saying, if you're sweeping a team, you're not expanding the deepest of your roster. You're not locked in, ready to rip his throat out.
I think I kind of disagree. Because in the previous season, what happens in the first round against Orlando? Goes to 7. They have to come back from 3-1.
Did you say 2004?
Yeah.
What year did you say for this red run?
In 2004, in the first round, he is like let's see. He averaged 18, 5, and 3. Pretty good, 41% shooting. But I think in comparison to the other shooting guards, they get
41%
in 2004 against the Pistons. I think he scored the most
from 3.
points. I actually think he scored the most points per game out of anyone outside of like Shaq. No, Jefferson doesn't. Nah, bullshit. Anyways, I'm just saying.
If you want to talk about his, if you want to talk about his 06 series against the Pistons, I was wondering if you're conflating those years because his 06 year. I mean that's 27 points. That's a really efficient shooting in series. That's something right home. It's not quite as good of a team. I tell you, I wouldn't hate going Michael Redd and then immediately right after that Dick Barnett.
Yeah, let's do it. For any star. All I'm trying to say is that Kobe had the worst finals ever, and Michael Redd was pretty good. You know what? They had the same competition. Kobe should have called Michael Redd and been like, dude, how'd you handle this? How'd you do it so well? All right, tell me about Dick Barnett.
I can't with you. I just can't with you. Okay. You're familiar with those Nerd Sesh guys, right? You've gone on the pod. You're friends.
Yeah.
You're chummy.
Yeah, sure.
They just did one of their like name the top 10 whatevers. It was the top 10 highest scores from the 60s. And Dick Barnett showed up on that list. I named every other name, and there's like the one name left, and he's like giving hints. He's like, he won titles in the 70s. He was Nick, and I'm like, who is it? Finally, they say it's Dick Barnett. Played from 60 to 74. Big minutes in the playoffs with those Knicks team. One-time All-Star, 2-time champion. In one of the where'd it go here? One of the title runs, he's like 19 points per game, 17 points per game. In the 1970s finals, though, he's playing 40 minutes a night, 18.6 points per game. The guy, he's not providing much else other than scoring. You're not going to hear a lot of talk about him being, the versatile switching defender, the playmaker. But the man could put up shots and put up buckets. And to be top 10 in a decade of scoring, even if that decade is the 60s with kind of, a brevity, a lot of the 60s does have the condensed league where you could fall pretty quickly because if you fall down on your team's pecking order, like it's so condensed, you get squeezed out a lot. So I think that's a really cool thing for him to have.
I think you said it right. And he makes the finals of the Lakers prior to that, but you have some just some pretty good longevity as well for the draft era. But we'll slot him in at 338. The next shooting guard is Jason Richardson, Jay Rich. But I'm kind of feeling Tayshaun Prince. How do you feel about that?
I think that's the right call. Well, at this point, Prince's defense and impact for so many years with the Pistons. You said there wasn't a year where you felt like he was close to being an all-star. I've forever mad that in 2006 he doesn't get the all-star position. Then when every other Piston starter gets it, I think he should have gotten over Sheed, and my Sheed love. So
I know your Sheed
do
love.
with that what you may.
Prince is playing like 40 minutes a night in the finals, 35 a night in the playoffs. It's just he hounds Kobe in 04, him and Hamilton do, and I mean the whole team does, but like I guess not Michael Redd, but he's just unguardable.
Yeah.
with Prince.
40% from the field. I think that's pretty guardable.
In 2004, that was like he was basically prime Shaq. Okay, the next small forward is Andrew Wiggins, which just disgusts me. You made a mistake. You have been on this Wiggins shit, and you've been wrong every time. Andrew Wiggins is good for 3 months. I'll leave it alone. He was really important to a championship team, and
he
if
was
it
good
wasn't,
for the right 3 months.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's good for the right 3 months. He's the only player in league history that fell off twice. He's like, I don't know how it's possible. He had a solid trick. I just think you give us like, I'll say positive things by Andrew Wiggins. At some point, someone has to score 20 a night, and he does that. At some point, someone has to play big minutes, and he does that. And the impact numbers are fairly good. I don't think he was hurting those Minnesota teams. I just think it wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, or as 20 points per game suggested. He turns into this elite 3-and-D player for a championship run, and we're here. I don't want him next. I hate it.
Okay. I'm just gonna say, well, so you've got scoring on bad teams, and you've got that defensive switchability and defending Tatum on this title run. I want to say I'm mad at Golden State banning him. Like, apparently he wanted to play for the Olympics team, and they said no. They said that he, hey, you're in trade talks. We don't want you to get hurt. That I think is dumb, and I think it's bullshit. I think we don't want to give Canada another player because we want Kerr and Curry to have this moment and everyone to celebrate this title. I think if Wiggins had gone out and played well, he now has trade value. If he doesn't play, his trade value is sunk. So I think that's bullshit. That's conspiracy, Nate.
I like it. I get that. And Wiggins, yeah, I'm so interested to see if he comes back together this season. The deal. How about we get Red Robbins out? We've been hanging on to this center for so long.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I think at this point it's Red Robbins' time. We've docked him enough for the ABA being weak during that era. He played well against a weak era. That would bring on the next Red, which is Red Kerr.
Which one of the Reds has a wife named Ginger? Is it this one?
I think it's Red Robbins.
It's Red Robbins as the okay. We'll have to fact check that.
Or is it Red Roca?
Red Roca wasn't even one of these two.
It is Red Roca.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
The craziest thing about the name Red is like Red was a nickname for people named Arnold or anybody that just had red hair.
Okay.
So like
yeah.
I think Red Kerr, his real name is Johnny.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
mistaken.
Austin is Robbins. Robbins is Austin.
I can't think of any other nicknames where it's like
really that. What do you think came first? Red Robbins the restaurant or Red Robbins the player? The debut in professional.
Red Robbins the player.
Yeah, the player by like a year. I'm pretty sure I verified that.
Now, do you know which came first? Oscar the Grouch, the Sesame Street character, or Oscar Robertson?
Oscar the Sesame Street's like, I think it's like mid-60s. I'm gonna go Oscar Robertson, the player, came first.
Oscar Robertson hit national prominence well before Oscar the Grouch, Sesame Street character. I don't know if Oscar the Grouch, the nickname, was first subscribed to Oscar Robertson, the player, but I've tried to Google it.
Yeah,
there's some
because he was like such a jackass. We don't really mention that about Oscar, and we should. Insane perfectionist, huge dick. Yeah, well, sorry, Oscar.
So I mean, one of the things that you hear with him being a huge dick is him being a huge dick towards media and him being a huge dick towards ownership. You don't hear that much between other players and him, because he fought for players' rights. And he went to
sure.
bat for the players' union and getting a pension plan in place, and
I had read that essentially he was like just such a perfectionist and like didn't really understand that other people were as good as him. I wish I had the article in front of me. Basically, I think it was like Wayne Embry like having to apologize. Like he's like, I'm so sorry for dropping that pass. Like it won't happen again. Like
there is a bit of that.
yeah,
But it's also, when it comes to the players, it's been a bit more of like the dude was a perfectionist and we weren't, and less of like a fuck this guy. He's always riding my ass.
sure. Okay, moving on. We put in Red Robbins. Next is Red Kerr. Kerr is another double guy. 14 boards, 11. Fucking hell. 14 points. 14 points and 11 boards per game. Wins the 55 championship with the Nationals, playing 33 minutes a night. Kind of the quality started a fringe all-star throughout the 50s and the 60s. And yeah, Syracuse Nationals legend.
Red also had the games played streak with 844 games played consecutively prior to
Randy Smith.
Yeah. But his wife's not named Ginger, and that's why he's back here. He's got 8 seasons in the top 10 of rebounds per game. It is early basketball, but I think this is a good point to have him in here. There are a lot of comments of like people from the Red Kerr era talking about him being one of the greatest passing centers, and that kind of getting like applied back, or people being like, Alvin Adams, best passing center since Red Kerr, or like that guy's passing reminds you of Red Kerr, doesn't it? You're like, okay. It doesn't show up in the box score, but that it was appreciated in his day.
It's a very interesting timeline where he does play until the more like he starts pre-Russell, pre-Chamberlain, plays into their era. In 62, the Warriors play the Nationals. Averages 37 and 26. This is killing me. What did you hear?
Warriors play the Nationals 37 and 26.
Yeah, that's basically where I left off. It is interesting to see that Kerr can play. That's 17-16 against like the greatest athlete with like crazy numbers season you've ever seen. So he's not picking on 50s basketball. Like he could play at a high level later on. Let's slot him in. And our next center is Swed Nader.
I have Nikola Vucevic. Do we drop Vucevic?
Yes,
I think
you did that.
Perfect.
I think you were like, why the hell do we have Vucevic?
That sounds like me.
I have Vucevic below Ilgauskas, actually, between Ilgauskas and Brad Miller.
That sounds like a me decision.
With Nader, he was the very first, and I think the only first round pick. Let me see, first or only. The first NBA first round draftee who played in college but never started a college game. He's one of 6 NBA players who score 30 points and grab 30 boards in a game. He is the single game record holder for most defensive rebounds in 1/2 with 18. And even to this day, he is the single game rebounding record holder for the Milwaukee Bucks at 33. He said about his rebounding, quote, "First, I assume that every shot is missed. Second, I get in position where I think the ball is going to bounce. And third, I go get the basketball. That's it."
It's a simple life philosophy. It helped him lead the ABA in rebounds, helped him lead the NBA in rebounds. I remember it's let's look at our options on the board. The vibes are good. The vibes are good. He was also at one point held the held the distinction of having his players' rights sold for the most amount of money in NBA ABA history at
Mm.
300,000.
Wow.
That's when I want to say it was Kentucky that was failing in it, and they sold him to the big wigs down in San Antonio, the major market. It's really funny to hear talk of the ABA because some of the owners were like, "Yeah, I owned a convenience store and I leveraged the shit out of that to get the loans to do this." And then there's like, "Yeah, I'm a multi-millionaire and I could buy whatever." And uh it's funny to think of San Antonio having the Steve Ballmer type money in the
Mhm.
league.
I mean, he was
Um,
such a good rebounder. He led the league in defensive rim percentage 5 times, total rim percentage 4 times. He is also Bill Walton's body pillow. It's followed him around everywhere.
uh, him, there's talks from Walton saying like, "Hey, playing our B team or playing our reserves was tougher than playing a lot of other teams in the NCAA back."
I bet. I bet. Um, I mean, he was offered a college spot just to guard Walton. They're like, "Hey, like you're not gonna play very much, but you're gonna have a good chance at going pro because you're gonna be battling Bill Walton every single season, and we're gonna hype you up really like really hard." Two all ABA teams. I think I'd be interested. It basically, do you think because him and Chuck Robinson play at the same time? Like, who do you think was better?
Let me look at the Truck Robinson case again. Um,
First team All NBA in '78, 16 boards a game, eighth in MVP voting on that 39 win team.
okay, I like Truck more. And then
Okay.
the other thing that I want to do is right after, well, there was a player that we missed on when we did our initial top 300, and that was Mel Hutchins. And he's now
Mm,
two power forwards back. I think the Mel Hutchins case is very similar to the Red Kerr case,
okay.
um,
Or move it
with
up
Mel
again?
being well, I'm not sure that I prefer Swin Nader to Sam Perkins. Um, and
Mhm,
looking at some of the small forwards still on the list, you can say what you will about Wiggins. Wiggins still contributed more to a championship than anyone else on anyone that's left on the board. Immediately after Wiggins is Andre Karolinko. I'm not leaving
mhm.
the top 350 without Karolinko.
Yeah.
Um, I do also think we said Jason Richardson's name and then kind of left him there.
Mhm,
Uh, Jay Rich is really good. I'd be okay pumping the brakes on Swin Nader and getting some of these other
mhm.
names out of the way first.
Alright, let's do Chuck Robinson,
Okay.
then Sam Par no, wait, then Jason Richardson, then Andrew Wiggins. 4 in a row. How do you feel about it?
Uh, the glitch got me there. Was it Wiggins, Perkins, Richardson,
I
Karolinko,
had Chuck Robinson, then Sam Perkins, then Richardson, then Wiggins,
then Karolinko?
then Karolinko.
I like it. I like it. Pick one of them. Tell the listeners your case. What was that order again? Was Perkins?
Chuck Robinson, then Perkins, because those guys are in order,
Yep,
then
yep.
Richardson, then Wiggins. Um, I think for Richardson, you have these 6 seasons with Golden State where he's 18 points, he's 5 boards, he's 3 assists. In the '07 playoffs, he's averaging 19 a game, 7 rebounds on good efficiency. You have that We Believe series in the first round, 20 a night, 7 boards, 51% shooting. Um, he also comes back around with Phoenix in 2010 and helps averages close to 20 a night to help them make the conference finals. So you have a little bit of contributions to winning. Overall, it's just like super athletic guard scored in the high teens. I feel good about it.
I do too. Also, my alma mater, Michigan State. Back when we produced good players and less problematic players, first, we had Jay Rich, universally beloved in East Lansing, two-time slam dunk contest winner. also a participant in 2004.
His off the backboard between the legs dunk is I think, one of the
that.
five best like dunk contest dunks of all time. I think the dunk contest is a snapshot of the decay of Western society, and how the internet has ruined everything. Because now I have seen a video of everyone doing every dunk ever. I've seen like professional dunkers like could dunk 16 basketballs at once. Like it's ruined. But dude, in 2008 or whenever Richardson was winning those, if you wanted to see someone do that dunk, you had to watch him do it. That's why everyone like lost their mind, right? I think it's just the coolest thing in the world.
So I'm in a Facebook group, Overstate NBA. I've mentioned them a few times. Someone asked in that group, what would Shaq have been if Shaq had Kobe's work ethic? And what would Kobe be if he had Shaq's work ethic? And my response for Kobe is like, Kobe would be J.R. Smith. Kobe would be Deion Waiters. Kobe would have irrational confidence and none of the skills to back it up. And this guy got on there and was like, here's 8 minutes of Kobe dunks. Like, you forget how athletic and how, insane. It's like there are other really insane players that had this like level of athleticism, but weren't spending Kobe hours in the gym. And I wanted to do your take. What do you think Kobe would be if he had Shaq's work ethic?
Is it close to Jason Richardson? I'm not saying Richardson has bad work ethic. We're just trying to find a player
No, no, no.
confidence is there. How about like Isaiah Ryder? Like,
Yeah.
like crazy athlete, good scorer, fucking moron. Like, like couldn't stick around, like couldn't stay in the league, didn't work very hard. I'm getting that right about Ryder, right? Like I have the Ryder lore correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although
Try not to be like I go ahead.
Ryder's what costs. The Lakers flipped Glenn Rice for Isaiah Ryder to try to get a younger third star, third offensive piece, and the Ryder decline, the Ryder inconsistency, where I forget if he doesn't play much that year, just completely fucks off entirely. But like that took away so much depth from the Lakers' title run that I think that contributes almost as much to their decline as the Shaq Kobe feud.
I'm still trying to place like I said Isaiah Ryder. Yeah, okay, I got it right. Just
Jailblazers. Yeah.
yeah.
I wasn't necessarily trying to say Jason Richardson is Kobe without the work ethic. I was more just having recently had this conversation,
No,
trying
it's a good.
to, because you do have these hyper athletic players. And Richardson, when he was on bad teams, didn't try on defense as much. When he got to good teams, like I think if you look at his Phoenix years, you would say that Richardson was a decently good defender. He also just arrives a lot of places too late. He gets to Phoenix right after Amari leaves. He gets to Orlando right after Dwight it's gone. Like he's not in good places at good times, but can do a lot. Is a versatile player. Could defend. Could score. Hits 40% from deep. In 08, he leads the league in 3-pointers made.
Yeah, super talented.
Yeah,
I always feel like Karolinko should be above Wiggins.
I'll do that. I'll settle for that.
Oh, dude.
I think one of the things that we push back with Karolinko on, and we have a 1-star review on Apple Podcasts from a guy that
You're kidding.
no.
That's
I'm
unbelievable. Wow, my bad, dude.
We have more reviews. We're positive on it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the show notes, and you go down
Is
to
it
the
a Karolinko
reviews,
issue? I just want to note that I made a Wiggins video recently, and I feel like all the small forwards near him, and like people are in the comments making the case against Karolinko, and I know they're doing that because I'm like, I have the list, right? We have the list, and then people are just like taking that side, and now we're just switching it up on them. So if you made the Andre Karolinko case in my comments, it was a good argument, and I appreciate you. And I'm sorry that we pulling out the rug. Go ahead.
November 26, 2023, we have a 1-star review saying Wiggins above Karolinko is diabolical. I need a formal apology.
One more time for me. One more time. It's diabolical and we need a what?
Wiggins above Karolinko is diabolical. I need a formal apology.
I think I liked Karolinko. He has that crazy like 04 season or one of those with Utah where he leads them in like all 5 categories basically, and crazy on-off numbers throughout his career. You didn't like it though. This is your fault.
So I think my problem with Karolinko is the team gets good later when he's less as impactful.
I just think
When
it's
he's
the
able to scale
timeline
down.
of him. Because he's like playing with
Well,
Stockton. Like it's the between he like bridges the Stockton Malone gap to the Darren Williams Boozer era, really. And so like I don't know if it's his fault, but
no, it's not his fault.
they
But
already flipped him. It's too late.
I'm not opposed to the flipping of these guys. We pushed Wiggins back already. The other thing with him is that, like, he's not fully healthy. He misses a lot of games in these different years. Yeah, just it's fine. I think his overall impact, people think about him and remember back to the AK-47 era of like, he could defend everyone well. And it was like, he was kind of a weird Russian dude that defended some people very well, wasn't always healthy, couldn't score well, kind of clogged up your offense.
Oh my god. Yeah. Weird. Is he a weird Russian guy? Like, what's your weird Russian case?
One, just Google Andre Karolinko back tattoo. That's the
right.
full
He does have like the
knight on a
crazy,
dragon.
like, yeah.
And then the other thing was unprompted. His wife at a press conference was like, "Yeah, no, I just give him hall passes all the time because he's an NBA player and he's going to be in different cities. So like, he can cheat on me as much as he wants."
Are you shaming polygamy? That's
I'm not.
gnarly.
I'm just saying it was
polygamy. I think it's fucking weird. I think it's really weird. All right.
Listen, if it's people and they agree to this and like that's between them.
Yeah.
But the fact that this was unprompted, and like his wife was just like, yeah, no, he can cheat on me as much as he wants because like he's gonna be in different cities.
If she agrees to it?
Okay, Karolinko came out
has 3 of 3 5x5 games. There's only been 5 of those since '95.
This also means Andrew Wiggins is now small forward 69.
All right.
Which made more sense for Karolinko, given the facts that I just gave you.
I think we should have Mel Hutchins above Wiggins.
Okay. All right. Only for my Mel Hutchins love and my hope that Wiggins will redeem himself. I'm not too worried about pushing back on guys still in the league because...
Dude, I'd be worried. This is plummeting. He's gonna be out of the top 500 by the time next season's done.
If he keeps, I mean, if he keeps playing this poorly, then great. Keep plummeting, but you know.
All right, our nominations are Nick Van Exel, Dick Van Arsdale, one of the Van Arsdale twins, Gerald Wallace, another scrappy defensive wing, Mel Hutchins, we just ranked, which means Sharif Abdul-Rahim is up, and then Swen Nader's still waiting for us if you're interested.
I'm not interested in Swen Nader. At this point, I wouldn't hate getting Dick Van Arsdale and then potentially the next shooting guard behind him, Danny Ainge, in this range. I think both of them. More so Ainge.
I actually have Fred Brown after that. Did we move him down?
Did we? I think we moved Ainge up.
I don't remember that. I do kind of remember talking about Fred Brown.
I thought you moved Fred Brown down.
I meant Fred Brown down. I still have Brown in between them, and I still kind of like that. I think we already dropped him quite a bit. I think he was closer to like Houston and Paxson, and we chopped him off.
How do you feel about just a run at shooting guard then?
um, how do I put a runish? I mean, we were running out of spots. To be clear, we have 4 more spots before this is over. I don't really love Van Arsdale that much. He's like kind of a starter on the 76 finals team, but it's like him getting plucked onto the expansion Suns, and they are awful. And he's like their all-star because everyone gets an all-star appearance. Every team gets one. They win 16 games, then 39, which is fine, and then 48. But then by 48, like it's like Paul Silas and Connie Hawkins is there. I mean, like I think you see I just don't know what he is in this era. What do you see him as? Is he the star in anything? Is he the third guy? Is he going to be the fifth guy on any team that matters? Like, I'm just rambling.
I think probably the third guy on a team that matters. I'm more interested in Danny Ainge, and so maybe this is another opportunity for a flip flop here. I know you keep loving those, but with Ainge, you actually you've got a guy in a deeper era, contributes to winning, really helps spread the love of the 3-pointer shot, all-star title winner.
Yeah, let's do that. Why not? Let's just keep messing with our list.
Not like we're gonna have to go back and make clerical changes and all these other little things.
I've been updating these as we go on the shooting guards list or on the positional list. So I have Ainge, Van Arsdale, Brown now.
Ainge, Van Arsdale, Brown,
which is what you'd wanted originally.
Do you want to keep the Brown Ainge kind of tied together because they are incredibly close statistically in the matrix?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we keep them together.
Who are the other guys we have on the list? Andrew Wiggins. How do you feel about Ainge with Wiggins?
No. This is where I put the foot down. Wiggins is a top 350 player in league history.
This time. All right. I'll leave it alone. Okay. Ainge is 347. We have 3 more spots. The next guy is Fred Brown. You really hate Van Exel. Well, who's the next point guard? I don't really feel strong about Ben Simmons making this list.
Ben Simmons. The one thing with Ben Simmons is, if we're going to talk about it, Simmons was a multi-time All-NBA player who maybe some of that's projecting forward, but that's also kind of like a real-life impact. Like there was a time where he was an offensive monster who could push the pace, and it was like, man, maybe the 76ers should move off Embiid because he's always hurt and try to build around Ben Simmons. And I realize that's a really brief stretch, but like, would we feel better about Ben Simmons if he just snapped his leg and died? Like,
if he's just exploded mid-court, would
right?
Honestly, yeah. If
right?
he just turned into dust, yeah. How about this? I'll offer you another flip. How about we flip Simmons and Exel?
I'll take it.
And then we'll put Simmons in.
I think we're missing a guy though, because I've got
is it Halliburton?
No, it's not Halliburton. I fixed that already. It's just I had Danny Ainge at 348. Let me check and read through my numbers here.
Let's see.
We're gonna do like a quick little recap. Brandon Ingram, Sean Elliott, Danny Manning, Calvin Nat, Sleepy Floyd at 330. Okay, Archie Clark.
Wait. I think that's it. Wait. We have Ingram, Elliott, Nat, Floyd. What was it?
Floyd at 330.
Yeah. Archie Clark. No, wait. I have Clark at 330.
I thought you said you wanted to keep it as is and not do the flip.
Read it again. No, read it again. Because
Brandon Ingram.
Yep.
Sean Elliott. Yeah. Danny Manning.
That's Calvin it. Danny Manning. Yeah, that was it. I was missing Danny Manning.
All right. Good old Danny. The Clippers legend? The Hawks? You're muted.
At 328, right?
Yeah.
Manning? Okay. All right. We're locked in. We have 2 more spots. No, we don't.
No, we have one more spot. And I'm just going to read the guys that we have on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Our center, Nikola Vucevic.
Did we get Nader in there?
Nope, you're right.
All right. It's Nick Van Exel, Fred Brown, Gerald Wallace, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, and Swen Nader.
So Swen Nader makes it.
I think so. I do want to know. Go ahead.
Could you imagine if we didn't have Swen Nader making it, and we've just talked about Swen Nader so much that we now need to regurgitate it again?
Yeah, I think he's the right call. So you have to talk about him again. But I actually like that where we're at. I think we have some pretty good picks for the next section. For Abdul-Rahim, I think he has like the worst career winning percentage, like minimum 800 games or something, or whatever the qualifier is. But it's still like, if you're gonna go get 20, like 20 and 8, someone's got to do that. I see him very similar to like Stackhouse, where it's like, these are the worst rosters on earth. Welcome to the Vancouver Grizzlies. Like, try to get 20 points per game, and he does it. Very talented.
I have the Sharif Abdul-Rahim jersey. It's not hanging behind me because I wasn't planning to get to him today, but I have it ready for when we're doing Sharif talk.
He also is getting all NBA votes in 98, 99, 2000, 01, and 02. And he's 20th in 99, which is interesting. And so, like, is there Sharif Abdul-Rahim 2-time All-Star? Like, would he have been an All-Star in 99? It's tricky because that Grizzlies team is awful. I think they win 8 games. Yeah, they go 8-42. But for him to still be 20th in all NBA voting, like, I think maybe he makes the All-Star team. If had there been one. Just something to consider.
Maybe. Would
all
you care to read? I realize we did not do this at the end of the last pod. Would you care to read 326 to 350?
Let's do it. 326 is Brandon Ingram, then Sean Elliott, Danny Manning, Calvin Nat, Sleepy Floyd, Archie Clark, Happy Hairston, Gordon Hayward, Jeff Mullins, Phil Smith. 336 is Jerry Stackhouse, then Michael Redd, Dick Barnett, Tayshaun Prince. 340 is Red Robbins, followed by Red Kerr. Then Truck Robinson, Sam Perkins, Jason Richardson, Andre Karolinko, Mel Hutchins, Andrew Wiggins, Danny Ainge, Ben Simmons, and Swen motherfucking Nader.
I would also like to keep listeners updated that we now have Dick McGuire ranked 256 and Dick Barnett ranked 338. So Dick Barnett is now the second best Dick in the NBA. Next up, Dick Van Arsdale will probably get locked in as the third best Dick in the NBA.
Thank you. Love it. I have nothing to add.
Would you like to know the rankings of the Reds in the NBA?
Sure.
Oh God, what is it? Did Red Roach it? Okay. So our number 1 Red is still Michael Redd, followed now by Red Robbins, Red Kerr, with Red Rocha still kind of floating out there in the wind.
All right. We'll tune back in. What's the ranking of the LeBrons? Any other LeBrons? At least you tell me no one else has made the NBA named LeBron.
I believe that is most likely the case.
Not one other person is named LeBron.
There's only one LeBron. We could do the rankings of James. That might be a slightly longer list.
Adding to the Michael Jordan case. No name influence. There are Michaels on this earth because of Michael Jordan. There is not a single LeBron. No one's ever named their kid that and had that kid make the NBA.
Michael made it into the Bible. Did LeBron make it into the Bible?
The King James Bible.
Fuck. Yeah, I think that
totally counts. The whole book. Oh my God, he named the whole book after himself. All right,
man. What? Why did someone write that? Did you read the 7-page email yet?
What?
Someone sent us a 7-page email.
When?
Like the Sunday after we recorded with the pod.
I'd have to, let me see. I'll see this
Also,
after.
We'll read this, I promise, listener. And this is we're recording this April, or not April, August 10th, 2024. It's the Kobe date. It's gold medal to game day. But we will read your 7-page email. I promise. I just need more coffee and maybe some alcohol.
This guy said 4 days ago that Ed McCauley should be higher. I'm down for that. You kind of dragged him. It's crazy that I've always been right and I've never been wrong. Have you ever thought about that? All right. You know, people can find me Possible Chairs on TikTok, Possible Chairs on Twitter, my Cameo, where you can pay me to make videos, and then my Patreon. You can find this list in writing along with all of our other lists and links to Nate's stuff and links to my stuff and everything I've ever done.
Just go check his lists and email us hoopstemple@gmail.com. Love to hear from you guys. Talk to you later.